Let's call meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Larkey,
Here.
Councilmember White,
Here.
Councilmember Powell,
Here.
Councilmember Pryan,
Here.
Councilmember Kraft,
Here.
Councilmember McCallum,
Here.
Councilmember Goff,
Present.
Councilmember Lawson,
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
We have a quorum. Motion to enter an executive session, discuss matters pertaining to legal actions according to Missouri State Statute 610.2021.1, and the record be closed.
Present. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Goff,
Aye.
Pryan,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
McCallum,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Powell,
Yes.
Kraft.
Aye.
We will be back. All right, call meeting back to order. Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember White.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Personal appearances, employee recognition. Who's up? Casey. Microphone.
My name is Casey Cohen. I'm the Director of Finance here, and this is Laura Ellis. She's our court administrator, and she has been our court administrator for the past 25 years now. So she started in 1999, and we want to present this to her tonight in appreciation for her long service to the city of Belton.
Thank you.
It's not going to be a roast, I promise. I'm Judge Nigro. I've had an opportunity to work with Laura now for the last 4 years as a judge here in the city of Belton, but I've known Laura since long before then when I was a young lawyer, before she was even here in Belton since 1992. She's always been a fantastic court administrator. She's a fantastic court administrator for the city of Belton, and I'm honored that she's getting this recognition and being able to work with her.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think, well, he was coming down to shake your hand.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, item 2, Arbor Day 2024 proclamation. Councilmember Lawson.
Councilmember Lawson, read the one on the outside, not the one on the inside.
Got it. Okay. Hello.
All right, proclamation for Arbor Day. Whereas in 1892, J. Sterling Morton first proposed that a special commemorative day be officially set aside for the planting of and the acknowledgement of trees, and whereas this holiday, designated as Arbor Day, is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas on April 20th, 2024, the City of Belton will celebrate Arbor Day and pay special attention to the wonderful treasure that our trees represent and dedicate themselves to the continued health of our state's urban and rural forests. Now, therefore, Norman K. Larkey Sr., Mayor of the City of Belton, Missouri, does hereby proclaim April 20th, 2024 to be Arbor Day and the month of April 2024 to be Arbor Month in the City of Belton. We urge all citizens to become more aware of the importance of trees to their well-being, to participate in the tree planting programs that will ensure a green Belton for decades to come, and to plant, nurture, protect, and wisely use Belton's great treasure of trees. In witness whereof, Norman K. Larkey Sr., Mayor of the City of Belton, Missouri, has hereunto set his hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed at Belton, Missouri, this 26th day of March, 2024. You? Yeah.
You gotta say something. Hey, you gotta say something. You gotta talk.
Who are we giving the mic to?
Well, I would like to thank all the citizens that volunteer their time for the tree board, which has been rebranded as the Belton Urban Forestry Council. So we're always looking for volunteers to help out with the new development that will be out at Dryden's Land. We will once again open the Arboretum Committee. So we will need people to volunteer and help us design and maintain that property. Randy's here. Thank you for your service to the community of Belton, and we look forward to having other people volunteer and help us out as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 3, 2024 park events. Brian Welborn, Park Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is our annual presentation of event dates for downtown Main Street, which requires street closures. A couple years ago, we were approached by downtown Main Street to take over the cruise night program, in which we have done. And so I'm not sure if you have the dates in front of you, but you do. Same exact street closures as it has been in the past. You will notice on the far left of those scheduled dates, we have moved the car show back downtown, be on Saturday, June 22nd. Councilmember Powell, I do recognize you have a theater event that night. We should be gone by 4 o'clock, 4:30.
I appreciate that.
Yep. So we have one additional event this year that we have partnered with the city and downtown. We branded the event as Carry Nation Days. That'll be on Friday night, May 31st through Sunday, June 2nd. Any questions?
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4, Cynthia Randazzo, Cass County Community Health Foundation.
Thank you. The Cass Community Health Foundation Board of Directors has asked me to provide some additional information in response to the March 12th and March 26th Council action reports on Bill number 2024-12 that was submitted. The city did actually discuss many alternative locations with us. We actually evaluated countless locations for several months. We also worked with the city planning department on the current Stephen Billings DDS building, and that site was too small. We looked at other land sites, including the land on 173rd Street and other locations suggested by the city. But in the end, our community board felt that the Markey location was the best fit for our square footage, parking needs, and availability. We were told by the current Belton School District personnel that looking from 2017 forward, they could not find any documentation that the district paid any permit fees. We actually contacted Kenny Southwick, former superintendent, who reported during his tenure that the district did not pay fees, and we are not actually, we're not comparing ourselves to the school district, but merely reporting that fees were not paid. The report states the city will consider providing incentives when development might occur, and that our development is going to take place regardless, and that is actually correct. We made a commitment in 2011 to open the first and only full-time safety net clinic for Belton children. The need for dental services in the start of this clinic came from the school district. Belton children would visit the nurse office in dental pain, and there were no local dentists that accepted Medicaid to refer these children that were in pain. We chose to stay in Belton to build so we can continue to serve the Belton children and their families. The report shares that the economic benefit is negligible. The final cost of our building is $3.5 million, and this excludes legal, land, architect, utilities, furnishings, and dental equipment. But we are told by our contractor that we have identified $600,000 of total cost of this building construction to be utilizing subcontractors with Belton or Cass County addresses. The report compares us to Aspen Dental, which pays $39,000 in annual property taxes for schools, the county, and the city. What is not shared is that the Aspen Dental is a for-profit dental company that does not serve patients that are insured by Missouri Medicaid. Very few dentists in Belton and Cass County want to serve the Medicaid population. 97% of those we serve are Medicaid, and 3% are low-income uninsured. We provide dental care to those that no one else wants to serve. We do not pay property taxes like Aspen Dental because we are a nonprofit and our funds are used to provide resources and programs in the community. The report certainly didn't outline any of the nonprofit work we do to serve children and teens in Belton. These Belton families are your constituents. They're your neighbors, your coworkers, and their employees that need the dental care that we provide for their children to stay healthy, to grow, and to learn. We're again making our request to waive permit fees of $47,587. These dollars will be invested back in the Belton children that we will serve. If you feel you cannot fully waive fees, please consider reducing the fees or capping them. We are told that part of our fee is also calculated based on pass-by factor or based on the trips that our clinic is expected to generate in the PM peak hours. We're told by engineers that is 4 to 6 p.m. The city calculation for us is estimated at 16 cars per hour during peak hours, since dental is in the same land use category as the medical office building that could easily see 200 patients a day. We currently average 20 to 22, and when we are fully operational at the new location, we're looking at 40 to 44 per day. However, this is not 40 cars, since many of our parents bring more than one child per visit. We will never be close to 16 per peak hour, so maybe that can be reevaluated. The Belton City Planning Department has approved our permit to begin building, so thank you to Matt Wright and his team for that. We're requesting that tonight you vote on bill number 2024-12 and to consider in your decision the benevolent work that we do to serve your constituents. And I'm available if there's any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 5 has been removed from the agenda. So we'll go to G, unfinished business. Motion approving the final reading of Bill 2024-13.
An ordinance approving the proposed fiscal year 2025 city budget as revised and appropriating funds from the revenues of the city.
Present.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Or you got anything to add?
I would like to add something really quickly. We will be having to bring forth an amendment already. The CBA has been ratified for the new fire 3-year agreement with the fire union. And so that will come forth for ratification or for approval by the council on the April 9th agenda. And at that point, we will need to make sure we amend the budget to adjust for the negotiated amounts.
Any questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Richardson,
Aye.
Powell,
Yes.
Pryan,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
McCallum,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey.
Yes. Motion passes. H, new business. Number 1, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2024-12.
An ordinance authorizing the waiver of building and development fees for the Cass County Dental Clinic new construction located at Markey Parkway and Town Center Drive in Belton, Missouri.
Present.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Council, Mr. Mayor and Council, obviously this was something that was on the agenda previously. We had some discussion already. I'm not going to say much else as far as the council action report and what that says. I think that based on legal advice, it behoove us to not approve the waiver of fees. That said, I think that the staff would definitely be open to exploring with the clinic any potential that we could have to team with them to help them find a way to recoup some or all of these costs that they are going to incur by paying the fees. The fees themselves, the big, for the public, the big issue with waiving the fees is fees are set aside in statute. If we charge fees, we have to charge fees for services rendered. Otherwise, they're considered a tax, and for it to be for us to change a tax or to not unilaterally imply the fees, you could call it a tax. We would be subject to the Hancock amendments anytime we wanted to change the fees, and it just opens up a big can of worms that we really don't want to legally have to deal with. Like I said, definitely open to having conversations with the clinic on ways to be creative to see if we can find a way to support them anyway, because I think that regardless of what was in the council action report and what we've discussed, I think that the staff, and I assume the council as well, is very supportive of the cause and what they're trying to do. So I'll stand for any other questions.
Any questions? Go ahead. Rob?
Oh,
Go
good.
ahead.
Okay. Sorry. On page 6, I didn't get a chance to ask this last time because we got a resolution that
stop conversation on this, but on page 6, it says, referring to the patrons of the clinic, the commercial business that gets the most economic benefit from patrons is Walmart and Raymore, which doesn't benefit Belton. How do we know that? It sounds
Placer-
like we're tracking people.
We are tracking people. Placer AI is you guys have approved multiple times our subscription to Placer AI, which is a firm that does utilize cell phone tracking systems to discern where people go after they leave certain places or where they come from to go to certain places. And we did do some tracking of the existing clinic and the traffic where, coming to and from that clinic.
Well, okay, so I understand how the tracking would say, where you say 90% go and come back from their homes. I see that. But if they go to the dental clinic, they come home, and on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday they go to Walmart and Raymore. So are we actually tracking numbers?
Tracking direct. Not, it doesn't track them, it's traffic directly to and from.
So when we say that these patrons that utilize the dental clinic are mostly getting their economic benefit, giving it to Walmart, I don't know how we can make that statement unless we actually know they're the same people.
Based on cell phone data, they track specific cell phone activity.
Well, I know there's cell phone
They're not identifying
activity.
who the individual is, but they're tracking literally where they go, so.
So maybe, let me ask a question about your question.
Okay.
Are you implying that we are making an assumption that if they're going to Walmart directly after their time at that dental clinic, that is where they are? Or sorry, I guess I'm asking you this. If they go to that Walmart in Raymore directly after their time at that dental clinic, that's assuming, we're making the assumption then that that's where they're purchasing the, medical expenses that they have. Is that fair?
I wouldn't make any of those assumptions. All we know is where they're going after and before. Or where they're coming from and then where they're going to immediately before and after they visit the clinic.
So that answers my question, because it doesn't say that 65% that 65%, it does say 65% leave the facility and return home. And then the next sentence doesn't mention about where they go after they leave. They're just saying these patrons are giving most of their economic benefit to Walmart.
No.
And I just think that sentence needs a little bit of tweaking.
Yeah.
If we're actually talking about where they go after they leave the clinic, then
All that we're saying is that the leading place that they go to, we didn't track all of them because they're, we said 65% return home, correct?
Yeah.
And then the next highest percentage is Walmart.
Oh, okay.
Which is a lower,
okay. Well, okay.
And then there's a wide variety of other places from there. So there are 35% of the folks that when they're leaving go somewhere else then besides their home. So you could make, and we could break down each of those spots, but they were all, very small percentages. So.
Well, now I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
I think what you're saying is a little different than what that sentence says, but that's okay. Now that I understand, I'm okay.
Fair enough.
Go ahead.
I don't support breaking any laws. But I'm also very much into wanting to see what we can do to negotiate with them to see what we can do, because they do provide a service to the residents of our community. So, with that, I firmly believe that we can work out something, but it's not going to, I have to vote against the fees.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I hopefully have just a quick question. I wanted some clarification. The school district is saying they don't have any record of paying anything. When they did redo the high school, can you tell us were their fees paid?
Yep.
In
Yeah,
regards
we
to
do have
that?
record of $108,000 in fees being paid in 2018 when they updated the high school.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
I appreciate all the legwork staff and our city attorney put into filling out this issue for us. And I guess the frustration for me is that the economic incentive playbook we have to work with is crafted in Jefferson City. This is not a construct of Belton City staff saying, here's what we can do for you. But by that same token, the council action report says, oh gosh, if we let this happen, we're going to miss out on $45,150 in sales tax revenue per year. But in last meeting, we gave one $50,000 fine to a developer to put a non-sales tax revenue generating business into a TIF. That's where the city has some muscle to support the things our city needs and the people that need support to serve our city. So I'll just echo what the other council members have said. I am hopeful that the Cass County Dental Clinic and city staff can get together and come up with some creative options to support their mission, because what they're doing here is really important. And I know you've heard this repeatedly now, but I'm just throwing as much, emphatic weight behind that as I can.
Of course.
Okay.
We're hearing you.
Go ahead.
All right, you ready for the 7th time you've heard this? I just want to say thank you to Cynthia and the team. I appreciate, I have read about it well before my time on the council, what the good work that they've done, and I do appreciate that, and I think it's really important for our community, especially if it's something that's needed, right? So while I will say that we have a concern from a legal perspective here with waiving these fees, which is ultimately what the problem is, it's not that we don't support the clinic itself, and yeah, I would definitely support suggesting the staff looks into a way in which we could support them, so.
Anybody else? Hearing none. All in favor? All against?
No.
No.
Motion fails. Item 2, a motion approving the first reading of Bill 2024-14.
An ordinance approving the 11th Amendment to the Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Contract between the City of Belton, Missouri and Y58 Partners, LLC for implementation of the Y Highway Marketplace Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Plan as amended.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. You're up.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the item in front of you this evening is an ordinance amending the contract between the city and the developer for the Y Highway Marketplace. This was after a presentation on February 27th by the developer, David Christie, as well as a follow-up work session on March 12th discussing the item and providing council some additional time for discussion. The amendment to the contract itself is really straightforward. It is amending one of the exhibits. Currently, there are, of the full list of restrictions, there are 4 restrictions specifically to automotive uses. This is eliminating only one of those automotive uses, an automotive service use. It keeps the 3 other automotive, so an automotive repair minor, an automotive repair major, as well as any automotive sale or leasing restrictions within the TIF itself. That really is kind of the extent of the amendment. I'm happy to answer any questions or follow up with any other information.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Would you read my mind?
Now I can see you pushing your button.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm understanding. This is, so this is based on what I'm looking in the packet. This is for the Valvoline and Swig.
That is correct.
Okay. I don't know if the developer is here. Okay, yes, okay. Sorry, I didn't see you over there. I do have potentially a couple questions regarding the development, if you wouldn't mind coming to the stand, if that's okay. I think they're easy ones.
It's not working right.
You were perfectly hidden out of my view.
David Christie from Leawood, Kansas.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So this is probably an obvious question, but I assume Swig is aware of the proposal to be joined with Valvoline?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a letter of intent with them, yes.
Okay, perfect. So Valvoline doesn't, at least in my experience, Valvoline typically customers don't get out of their car, right? Generally speaking, from what I've seen, they stay in the vehicle. Is Swig expecting, I mean, I guess I'm curious where they think their customers are going to come from with that in mind, if you could speak to any of that, if you have an idea.
I think they're planning on getting business from the substantial retail sales from the Price Chopper. That's one of their main focuses in going in front of a grocery store, is the traffic is so dominant there. So, and I'm sorry, I don't use those types of oil change places. I go to a dealership, so I don't know what the experiences are with folks there, whether they stay in the car or get out and go into a lobby.
Fair enough. I just was.
But it's going to be a short walk if they want to go to Swig. Obviously just across.
And to your point, there is a strip mall with other businesses right there as well. So
yes, sir.
Valid point. And then curious if we have an idea of what the footprint will look like. Trying to figure out where like the bays might be pointing towards, like pointing towards the other place, for example, or if we know what that footprint would be looking like.
I think the city could dictate to them, where the bays need to be orientated. I mean, that would be obviously, I mean, we don't want to specifically look at them either. We want it to be, look at a front, nice of a building. I think you drive through the building, so, but, we can make them put expensive doors on. I mean, because this is in a TIF district, you all have an additional bite at the apple, in my opinion, to ask these retailers to do a better job. I mean, you see the money. We spent $400 a square foot on that other place building. That's a lot of money for a retail building, and it looks like it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, anyway, we're just excited about making the place floundered for so long that we're finally getting some momentum, and we're just excited about working with that momentum and moving it forward. So we appreciate your consideration of what we're trying to do here.
Those are the questions I had for you. I did have two other questions, but I'm
Go ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to
You're
say, but
up.
I'm monopolizing time here, so.
Oh, go ahead. You're fine.
So I want to understand, if we approve this, there's no other opportunity. Well, there is some public well, not public maybe, but there's some opportunity for us to dictate what the building layout looks like. That part I understand based on what was described. But ultimately, that ends the public input, right? If we approve this.
Yeah, the only process, if this TIF amendment is approved, is a final development plan. That is not a public hearing, and that only goes before Planning Commission for approval prior to a building permit.
Okay. Then the only other question I have might be for the two gentlemen over there, which is, because this is Ward 4, just would like to understand, I guess, if any citizens had spoke to you about it.
Go ahead.
I had a Ward 4 meeting last night, and while it was a small turnout, it was still a nice festive event. Every one of the I'm old, I gotta forget things. Every one of the people attended. First statement was, we need another oil change in Belton. But then through the discussion, we talked about how long that sit there, and nothing else is coming into that. It's a small area, small space. So no one, even though they weren't really invested in wanting another one, no one said no.
I've talked to several people that say no. But I wanted to ask you your question. If this is similar to the Valvoline that's in the east part of Belton, then people do get out. I mean, I've gone there twice. I'm like the person here. I go to the dealer too. But anyway, there's a lot of other stuff that they do there, and when I've gone to Valvoline for whatever reason, I leave the car there all day and ride my bike home and come back again later. I don't know what the issue was with your question. Maybe how much Swig business was going to get, but
yeah, I mean, ultimately, where's the traffic going to come from? Because look, in fairness, I have definitely got out of my vehicle at Valvoline. In fact, I think that's one of the things they brag about is that you're more than welcome to look at your vehicle while it's being worked on, where a lot of places it gets put behind a wall, right? That's literally, I think, what they brag about.
Yeah.
But that being said, my experience shows what I've seen is most people don't get out of their vehicle. It's kind of the other beauty of it is you just sit there and then drive on out. So that's where my question was.
I see.
Mike, step back up. Do you remember what the data we had last meeting about where people came from for the Valvoline out on?
So the Valvoline located on the east side of town, it was what, 60%? Or around there came from the Raymore area. At least that was just based on, like I said, the placer data that we were able to pull.
Go ahead.
I also wanted to address your question. I know I'm not their ward. My ward butts up right against there. And I did actually have 4 different citizens reach out to me over this and said absolutely not. They do not want an oil change, in part also because we do have several mom and pop shops on North Scott that do oil changes, and they are concerned about the impact having another one so close would have on those mom and pop shops that we're trying to keep alive.
Go ahead.
I also have a question for Mike. On page 11, this is maybe a side issue, but it says a lease of Lot 6 to the medical clinic. Apparently, a medical clinic never went in, right?
Correct.
Okay. So where is Lot 6? Do you happen to know? Maybe Mr. Christie knows.
So Lot 6, at least based on the plans that I was looking at, is where the car wash is currently.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, I do know that Dave Christie has brought a lot of good things to this town over many years. I've watched him, and he has been by far the one way out front in helping this town develop and grow. You got to remember, we do have 2 sets of apartments over there with another 600 units of families there, as well as what might be proposed going across the road from there. There's going to be more than enough people to take care of another Valvoline in this town. There's no question in my mind. And I know he has a very difficult time finding people and companies to come and place in these lots and stuff, and that's a tough job. So when he brings one to us, we need to really consider what work he's put in behind it and what's good or bad about it, and I don't really see anything problem with it. Every time I go by the one in East Belton, it is lined up clear out to the road, and I think we could definitely use another one over there. It wouldn't hurt. So that's my 2 cents.
Go ahead.
I do also just want to say I absolutely understand the fiscal part of this and how helpful it really could be to our city. And being able to fill that space that we do definitely want to fill, especially bringing the SWIG. I think SWIG would be amazing there. But I do have to vote with what my citizens are telling me to do.
Anybody else? My thoughts on this, one, Christie Development inherited this project, so, not technically inherited, but he took it over. He didn't start it, so he's behind the 8 ball a little bit there. Also, the city of Belton has some financial interest in this TIF, so the sooner we can get that paid off, the better for the citizens of the city. So I'm looking at it generating sales tax with the SWIG and the Valvoline, and drawing more people into that shopping center, and maybe shopping at the other stores, Price Chopper, and even going to the new restaurant. So that's my thought on that, and I believe that last Placer AI data said that it was like 80% of the people that use the one out east don't come from Belton. They come from other Raymore, Grandview, Harrisonville, Peculiar. So to me, that tells me we're drawing people into Belton, and that this would draw people into the west side of town. So that's my position. I will support this. So that's where I'm at. Anybody else? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
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 Motion carries.
No.
I got Councilmember Powell and Councilmember Kraft. McCallum, thank you.
Also, no.
Awesome. Okay.
So I assume it's 5 to 4. 5 to 4. All right. All right, 3, motion approving first reading of Bill 2024-15.
An ordinance approving the Belton, Missouri Police Department Municipal Jail 2024 housing contract for inmates of the Harrisonville, Missouri Police Department.
Present. Second.
We have a motion and a second. You're up.
This is a opportunity that we took a lot of research in bringing since the last time the police department. The costs that we were charging other departments was severely under the budget of what other departments were paying elsewhere. But the level of services that we provided to others was far exceeded those. And so we have actually rewritten our contract. There was clauses in it that weren't previously there as far as a termination clause and also what the agencies had to provide and what we were delivering, especially in the area of what they needed to help us in regards to when inmates are taken to hospital or medical facilities, meeting us there, taking over so our people can get back into service. And so this is an update, a significant update in our past contracts. And so we would also recommend a second reading.
Any other discussion? Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, can you give us the reasoning on why you're requesting for the second reading?
We currently have about 4 different agencies that are wanting to use our facility, and we're trying to get those finalized so we can move forward with those contracts.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
The only question I got for you, back in November, when I took a nice tour of everywhere, I also toured the jail. And I remember there was some pretty decent upgrades, or maybe that's not the right word, but I don't know, fixes that you were looking at. And I do remember them in the budget, and I just curious if we're concerned that those need to get fixed. If we're doing a double reading, that kind of thing, if you could just talk to that and making sure that we're on track.
Yeah, the jail facility has seen a number of improvements since I became police chief in March of 2021. Most of 2022, we had a reduction in staff where we actually closed our facility outside agencies, outside personnel from bringing their prisoners in. We did continue to bring in Raymore because we share the same prosecutor and the same municipal judge. During that time, we were able to address a number of concerns. The age of the jail, we had a number of locks broken that we had to bring in a contractor to fix. The glass that was installed in the early construction had deteriorated to the point that the epoxy between the layers was breaking and separating and splintering, and it became a safety hazard. We've had also some other things that have happened in regards to trying to improve the area. We did all those within the budget. We were able to take advantage of some money returned through our employee safety training program with NPR and use those funds to fix the glass, for example. And then in this next budget, there's a number of upgrades as far as that we're also going to do to increase the longevity of the jail.
And you've already made the glass fixes and the things you work fast then, because like I said, in November, I remember there was discussion about that.
Yes, there's a significant amount of things that we still need to fix in the next budget come April 1 into next year, but we were able to knock some of those lower hanging fruit off of that list. And those monies helped us replace the most needed glass in the jail area.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
For a second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for a second reading.
3 seconds.
Motion approving the second reading of Bill 2024-15.
We need an all in favor to hear the second reading.
Oh. All those in favor of the second reading?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion approving the second reading of Bill 2024-15.
An ordinance approving the Belton, Missouri Police Department Municipal Jail 2024 housing contract for inmates of the Harrisonville, Missouri Police Department.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey.
Yes.
Councilmember Goff.
Yes.
Cryan.
Yes.
White.
Aye.
Richardson.
Aye.
McCallum.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Powell.
Yes.
Kraft.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 4, motion approving resolution 2024-31.
A resolution authorizing and approving a public service agreement between the City of Belton, Missouri and Downtown Belton Main Street, Inc. to provide public service support for 2024 events.
Present.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I have some
You
information
rule.
on that.
You rule.
Annually, Downtown Belton Main Street, Inc. asks for the city assistance and support for their Main Street events through a public service agreement. This resolution is for the 2024 events, which there are 2 this year on Main Street, Cinco de Mayo on May 5th and Fall Festival September 13 and 14. Historically, the city has agreed to a PSA and provided police and public works support. There are no direct costs to the city associated with the agreement, but there are indirect costs with staffing and city equipment use. And Art Ruiz is here this evening if you have any questions for Downtown Belton Main Street.
Go ahead, Councilman Powell.
Oh, thank you. I definitely support both these events and support DBMSI, Downtown Belton Main Street. I just didn't see in the list of things to do anybody responsible for polling the businesses on Main Street for a street closure.
It's the responsibility of the applicant, so it will be Art Ruiz and Connie Hubbard representing Downtown Belton Main Street.
Okay, so where it says that Main Street has to apply for event permits, it's
Part of the
within
process.
that.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I am also in favor of this. I come from a small town that is literally known for festivals, and I think it can help you keep your small town feel. It can help you bring the community together, and I think it's really great and very important. I say all that I want to make sure and preface that I definitely support this. But I do have potentially a question, I guess, for Art, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. For the record, state who you are and where you're from.
Art Reese, 16206 Speaker Avenue, Belton, Missouri.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks, and I appreciate you being here.
No problem.
So, like anything that comes in front of me, I try to do my research the best I can on the topic. And so one of the things I personally, I'm not super familiar with DBMSI. So I went out to the website. Actually, before I get there, I have a potential question. I think this is a Joe question, so sorry for pulling you up here real quick. Let me ask the Joe question. Do we get a sales bump when we see these festivals come in? Do we have any idea what that, I assume we do. Do we have any idea what that looks like for us?
We haven't looked at the specific data, but I think all you have to do is walk into Broken Hatchet and you could see a considerable sales bump from any of these festivals. And
for sure.
If you asked Brad and Cara, I think you get a pretty decent answer on, I don't know about the other businesses, but I know they do great.
Yeah. I guess part of the reason I'm asking is because while there is no monetary ask of us, which I very much appreciate, it isn't completely without cost. And so it'd be nice if we could somehow prove we're offsetting that just from a budgetary standpoint. Thought.
I mean, I think you could say Terrace is the same way as Broken Hatchet. You know, they bring in so many more on that day.
You know, we could try to do that. I think that we should also consider that there is more than just the financial investment that's made and the return on that investment, but also the quality of life component that comes with, again, you mentioned the small town feel and the festival and how that can change the way people feel about their community. or at least improve the way that people feel about the community. And I think that that has some value that goes beyond whatever the financial return might be.
Oh, like I said, I get it, that's why I wanted to preface my question, because I knew it was going to come off differently. So, anyways, just a thought, if we could look at that. But I guess my question for DVMSI would be, are these events like, I don't know if the word revenue is the right word, but are they net positive events for you guys, or are they neutral or negative for that matter?
Yes and no. Some years we have maybe $1,000 to $2,000 in the positive side, but as far as like Cinco de Mayo was our first year last year, it was just we go in the hole, but it's just to serve the community basically.
Okay. I was curious if it was wanted to understand what it looked like for the host, if you will.
This year it's going to be on a Sunday, so the stores probably won't be open on Sunday, and that's the only day we're going to have it. So.
Gotcha. And then one of the other things I noticed in there, and actually, so this is getting back to the website comment, and I noticed, because like I said, I don't know that much about it, so I went to the website, and I noticed you guys are not looking to support the annual Christmas lighting, but you kind of, on your website, it says you do. Is that just because we're too early on in this and that's coming later, or I just wanted to understand?
That was a decision by the board of directors. I think there's a little bit more to it than meets the eye from our standpoint. We financed the last 3 years, very, very expensive, big cash outlay. We felt that our priorities should be directed in another direction this year. So we are withholding, participating with the lighting of the buildings for Christmas this year.
Okay. I just wanted to get clarification on that and kind of the thought behind it, so. Okay, I'm done monopolizing time.
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I would just like to add that these two specific events, Fall Festival for Cass County, this is the Fall Festival. Like, this is the one to end all other ones. This is the best in our entire county. Everyone comes to this Fall Festival. It is amazing. And then with the new Cinco de Mayo, my ward specifically has a large Hispanic population that is absolutely thrilled that this is a new event that DVMSI is putting on. So thank you for providing that.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that I took 3 proposals for the lights for Main Street, and we didn't get any backing on it. So I did take 3 proposals from 3 different companies. One was a local company, but the board decided to vote against doing the lights on Main Street for the Christmas, so.
Oh, I thought you had your hand up. Anybody else?
Like I said, I'm definitely in favor of the festivals, just for the record.
All right, hearing no more, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, consent agenda. One motion unavailable to approve recommendations noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Present.
Second.
Motion and a second. Go ahead.
I'd like to remove number 6.
Number 6, all right. Anybody else?
I got one for number 1.
Number 1. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 1, motion approving the minutes of March 12th, 2024 council meeting.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. You're up.
Andrea, I already talked to you about this, but just putting it officially on the record, because we talked about this would be the best way to do it. I found a Scrivener's error under specifically the bill on 2024-13, which was Councilmember Richardson's proposal for that bill. It does show that I voted in opposition, and that is not the case. So just ask that that gets amended to reflect appropriately.
Yes, thank you.
You good? Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, motion approving resolution 2024-25.
Present.
35.
Second.
We need to read it, please.
I'm sorry, 2024-35.
Present.
A resolution repealing a portion of R 2023-76, requiring proof of insurance coverage and waiver of subrogation from organizations or businesses requesting to close public city streets to conduct a parade in the street.
Present.
Second.
A motion and a second. You're up.
Yeah, this resolution is in direct response to feedback we had regarding the St. Patrick's Day Parade and the high costs of insurance that they were going to have to incur should we follow through with this resolution. And so if the idea is that if we do not wish to keep the cost of insurance as a requirement for the folks or organizations that are doing events downtown, then we probably should repeal this resolution. Otherwise, we would not be in compliance. And that's why we have this on there.
Any questions?
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Bottom line is, if something happens, who's responsible? If the Chamber of Commerce windows get broken by somebody throwing candy or whatever, or worse, somebody gets hurt, who's responsible?
Well, I believe the city does not have some liability. Patrick, you want to?
Yeah, so the city does enjoy sovereign immunity from acts of third parties that are not affiliated with the city outside of driving down a city street. But again, we're now getting into legal hypotheticals of what if. And so obviously, I can't tell you what the city's potential liability exposure would be in that situation because we don't know what that situation is.
Well, I mean, we just saw within the last few months what happened at a Chiefs parade, and which could be not just a broken window, but a lot more. So so it sounds like whoever is putting on the parade, you got to make a choice. Do you get insurance or do you pay if there's a major thing? So it's up to them.
Exactly.
And I don't know. I mean, I heard that they were having trouble getting money for insurance, so I donated some money. It seems to me that it's prudent to get insurance, but I guess in the Wild West, you just say, hey, let them make their own decision. So maybe that's the decision we're making for them.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead.
I think that's not an unfair comment to make. I think that the intention behind bringing the resolution forward was to try to mitigate as much risk as possible, obviously. That's why the resolution exists and was approved last fall. That said, the intention of that resolution was not to snuff out these smaller organizations from putting on nice community events. And if the unintended consequences were going to be that would happen or could potentially occur, which is what we were worried about in the case of the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which turned into a wonderful event, had great weather, had great participation. I think everybody that was there had a great time. I think that wasn't the intended consequence, right? And so the last thing we would want to do is put up another roadblock or more red tape or more bureaucracy to folks doing good events for our community. And so it's just a balancing act. I mean, yeah, we could require it, but it probably doesn't change our liability either way.
Well, to mimic Councilman McCallum, I'm not anti-parade. I mean, I love parades, but I see the point. So.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, what's the norm with surrounding cities? Do we know that?
Well, I think it really varies. I mean, NPR was the organization that recommended we look at doing something like this resolution, and they do, they also do the same for other cities, but not all cities are going to require that. So generally, the smaller cities don't have as much red tape and don't have these types of requirements, and the bigger cities do. I mean, we just happen to be kind of right in the middle, so it just kind of depends on where we are more comfortable.
Yeah, and this isn't specific to parades. It's anytime we close
Downtown
public
events, essentially,
events.
yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
No, it's not. It's specific to.
Yeah, it's specific.
The part that we're taking out is specific for parades.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Communication from City Council. Councilmember Goff, you gotta say something. This is your last full meeting.
Well, it has been a pleasure serving the community, and I think it's about 18 years worth I've done, and I'm really happy going out with the city manager, the mayor, the staff. I don't think I've ever seen it better than it is now, so I'm going out feeling happy, and thank you all, and I think everyone should give some of their time to the community. It's it helps you understand the people you live with and where you live, and it doesn't pay well, but it's something I think everyone should do. It's rewarding. So I do thank all of you, and I've enjoyed working with you.
Thank you.
That's all.
You're up.
Man, I gotta go after that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that came up recently on a city candidate forum was that there was a kind of a suggestion that the emergency service vehicles, I think they were specifically referring to fire, but I'm just going to leave it broad in case it's not just fire, were having issues with the roundabouts in town, essentially getting around them and navigating them. So I just wanted to ask, do we have a concern here? Is that something we need to look into or address?
I don't believe so. They're not the most easy thing to navigate, but we can navigate them.
Okay. It hasn't caused us problems in answering any calls, anything like that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
They slow us down a little bit, but that's kind of the intention of a roundabout.
Sure. Okay, thanks. I just, like I said, it was the first I was hearing of it, so I wanted to at least look into it, address it, so. The only other thing is, for the last time, at least for this go-around, I will remind people that absentee voting is open, and exactly 1 week from today, there will be the voting day. So just a friendly reminder.
You're up.
I know, Perry, you're going out. I appreciate your service. Rob, you're going out. I appreciate your service too. So thank you. That's all I got.
Okay, I'm going to talk briefly about the Easter egg hunt that was Saturday at Memorial Park. It is always my favorite, and I want to point out that it is pretty thankless, filling 10,000 eggs, getting there at 7 a.m. in the cold and putting them across 3 baseball fields for the kids to enjoy is one of those events that it just takes people being really cool to do that. It's free, it's a classic childhood experience, and it went great this year. And then back to a theme I've had the last couple meetings about exciting new parks programming. They are doing an Easter egg dive this Saturday. You do have to register, and there's a little bit of a cost, but that will be for kids to get in the recreation pool at High Blue and find eggs. There's also an Arbor Day poster contest coming up, and the first of the DIY Academy classes at High Blue. This one is centered on lawn and landscaping tasks. I intend to be there because I don't know how to do any of that stuff. And I just appreciate the creative new programming coming to the city. I see a lot of folks ask about how to get involved, or I didn't know that was going on. It's pretty simple. If you're on Facebook, make sure you follow, Parks, the city's page. We've got a bunch of different pages that can keep you informed and let you know when these things are going on, so you don't have to miss them. So.
Yeah, there were several posts today about how somebody could get involved, so that was interesting.
Yep, that's what I got.
I'll just echo that it's been good to see Rob and Perry here for the last few years, and enjoy your Tuesday evenings off, but you can always sit on the other side if you get bored.
I will.
Okay, well, I will start by echoing that. I do appreciate both of your services to our city, and you have been amazing to work with. Then, following that, into the Belton Chamber is putting on a meet and greet so that citizens have the opportunity to come and meet who you'll be voting for on April 2nd, and they're also going to discuss the use tax. So I do hope that citizens come out to that. It is next Thursday. It's the next Thursday for me, though. It is this Thursday of this week in 2 days.
There's a Seinfeld about that.
There is.
There we go. So this Thursday in 2 days at Memorial Station. Looking forward to that and seeing everyone. And then, of course, vote April 2nd, please.
Okay. I got to get in everything now. First of all, there was a TDD meeting last week. Nothing happened, but I did tell them that was my last as a council representative, so one of you in the audience will be the new representative, depending on who the mayor appoints. I did hear that Caliber Collision is now the preferred provider for the city for repairs. Hopefully, we're not doing too much collision, but is that true? And were there competitive bids for that?
I really don't know. We don't have that many collisions, so I don't
Good.
know why they'd be the preferred.
Okay.
I know we just take bids for things like that.
Okay, individually, like if a dump truck would get maybe a different bid than a car or something like that. Okay. Now that we have a budget, I reviewed Resolution 201504 on cost sharing on sidewalks, and it's really not a 50-50 as I kept talking about, so it was probably glad that I didn't get a chance to make that resolution last time, but it's that the resident pays the materials and the city pays the labor. You can correct me if I'm wrong about that. But I move that the resolution be rewritten to charge 80% of the total cost of the sidewalk repair replacement to the city of Belton and 20% to the resident requesting the repair or replacement.
Could I restate that motion in
Sure.
a way that as close as I can gets us to sunshine law compliance? But it'd be a motion directing city staff to prepare a resolution amending the current sidewalk cost share resolution to be
80% of the total cost fall on the city and 20% of the total cost fall on the resident. Now, but may I should ask you if it's okay to define the resident as any person who reports that, or does it have to be the resident that is living behind that sidewalk?
Well, the resident that lives there is there, the resident that owns the property is technically responsible for that sidewalk, so, if someone else wanted to give them some money to do it, it still would fall
But
on
it'd
the
still be
resident.
under their name
I
then,
believe so,
okay. So that's what you said.
So we have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I will just note for everybody, including the public, passing this motion doesn't mean that it is amended. That's why I had to clarify that he's directing city staff to prepare a resolution. Instead, what would occur is that if this motion passes, city staff will prepare a resolution to present to the city council at the next meeting that would formally adopt this policy. When it comes to resolutions or motions not on an agenda, especially ones that change financial obligations of the city, it is always my suggestion to play very safe with the sunshine law, and instead of taking final action tonight, you have just directed us to take the initial action so that the city council can take the final action at a future time.
Go ahead.
My only question is, and this may be a really mundane one, resident, is it, if it's a business owner, they have the same obligation, is that the right term, resident?
I do not know. Again, this resolution has been on the books now for the entire time that I've been the city attorney, and it has not been utilized once during that time, so I've not had the chance to review it thoroughly.
If you all want to, if this is what you would like to move forward with, if you would like, you can approve this. We'll bring this to you for discussion and make sure that the language is worked out as we present it to you. How's that?
Go ahead.
I do like the idea of it being brought back for a couple of reasons. One, we could possibly have several new members that then could weigh in and make their decisions. But with this being a request from an outgoing member, us being able to actually follow through with that, and whether we approve or not, it at least gets it in that discussion so that we do discuss it.
And we will have 2 meetings next meeting, the old meeting and new meeting.
Yes.
So. Anybody else?
Can we name resolutions? I want to call it the Powell Program.
I do believe that would be something more towards Mike and anybody in the communications office on how we how we properly phrase and advertise the program, but not a legal requirement of the resolution.
Go ahead.
I like the alliteration, but since it's a would it be the Powell Program Resolution?
No. Just call it the tripping hazard exclusion.
Go ahead.
Is it currently now that it's 100% on the resident?
50/50.
It's 50/50?
But, well, it doesn't, if you go back and read it, it doesn't say 50, it's 50, it's that the resident pays for the materials and the city pays for the labor. So that's the way the resolution right. Now, I can't, for 3 years I've had this question. It says when you look this up in the Code of Ordinances, see Resolution R201504, which you got to do a search and find the minutes back in 2015. And then then it was amended, but the amendment was only to, as I could tell, I'm not a lawyer, but that it was only to change the form that was used to apply. But in all cases, it talked about not 50/50. There's nothing about 50/50. It's about the resident paying the materials and the city paying the labor, which may end up to be 50/50. I don't know.
Go ahead.
To be fair, when that was passed, the staff would do the labor. Now we don't have the availability of staff to provide that labor, and so when we put the money back into the budget last year for this program, even though I know what the 2015 resolution says, we put it back as a 50/50 cost share, knowing that we were going to contract it out because staff's no longer going to do the work. So it's no longer you provide the materials, we provide we provide the work.
Thanks for that clarification.
And then additionally, for even more clarification on this topic, you do have a provision in the Code of Ordinances that mandates that all property owners maintain the sidewalks that abut their property. Then this program lays on top of that as a way for property owners that cannot afford or cannot otherwise pay for the full cost of redoing their sidewalk if it is no longer in a state that is, up to the city standards, that they can get some sort of, cost relief.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I have one more thing to say.
Well, you have reached your limit.
No. Contrary to Perry, I've prepared a 2-page speech, but I'll be brief. I'm sure you know that I'm not running for a second term for Ward 4. And since I'll be on vacation during the next scheduled city council meeting, I wanted to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to the mayor and the council, to the staff, and to the residents of Belton for your cooperation and camaraderie during the last 3 years. There have been, you just blew my the next paragraph, but there have been several 8-1 and 7-2 votes that have not gone in my favor, and I chalk that up to my lack of political experience at convincing the council of the correct decision. Seriously, though, except for my first meeting, I've always felt that the rest of the council and the staff thoughtfully and respectfully considered my views and proposals before voting. I look at this next step as a promotion back to resident citizen, which, as you all know, is the highest position on the Belton org chart. To the residents of Ward 4, I hope you continue to stay involved and keep the next Ward 4 council person and Brett on their toes like you have done for me. And finally, God bless you and during this Holy Week, and thank you.
You're up.
Thank you. As I said earlier, we had a Ward 4 meeting, and I will encourage all Ward 4 to go out and vote if you're not already doing your voting. And we'll be doing another Ward 4 meeting in 3 months. I'm going to miss Mr. Powell. He's been wonderful as a council person to be involved with. Perry, it's been a pleasure.
I could never hear you.
Because you don't talk into his microphone.
So, thank you, Rob, for the uplifting times we've had in here.
You're welcome.
I'm done.
All right, first of all, thank you, and thank you since you won't be here next meeting, so thank you very much. And just remind everybody to get out and vote. So, that's all I have. You're up.
I do have a few things, Mr. Mayor. One, I want to point out to the public that our Public Arts Council has begun meeting, and so we are happy that they are getting some momentum, and that's a great thing for our community, I think, in the long term. Use tax is obviously on the ballot, and we've done a lot of promotion of that, of what that means, and I just want to reiterate to the residents that that essentially means lower water bills, more sidewalks, and it means a level playing field for local businesses in Belton. So, do that with what you may. I also want to publicly thank the council members White and Goff, who are here for the last time for their full meetings anyway, even though we still have a half and half meeting coming up. I do appreciate both your input, your guidance, and your action on behalf of the residents of the city of Belton.
Hey, you said the wrong name.
Who? White. Oh, Powell and Goff, sorry. Brett's still staying.
He is the guy.
Freudian
I
slip,
thought we was
apparently.
getting
Yeah.
rid of him.
Powell and Goff. I want to thank council members Powell and Goff for that, for their work on behalf of the city. It's easy to get on Facebook and kind of complain about what the city does not do well. It takes a lot more intestinal fortitude to roll up your sleeves and actually put in the work and be part of the process and the solution, and we certainly appreciate your work. I also wanted to address one quick thing. There was, as much as I appreciate you, Councilman Powell, there was a statement that was made recently about our staff kind of not falling in line with the hierarchy of what our flow chart says, and about the citizens being first and the council second, and how that works. And I do respectfully have to point out that, for one, most of the staff are citizens of Belton. And also as an organization, we've taken many strides in the organization just to ensure that citizens aren't just at the top of the organizational flow chart, but that they are in every action that we do, and that we are listening to them and trying to take their concerns and work on their behalf. We've added a number of citizen engagement committees to try and bring some of that engagement right to the staff, because without some of those, sometimes we lack some of that engagement. Some of these engagement committees include the Public Arts Commission I just mentioned, the Tourism Council, the Public Safety Advisory Council. We reconvened the Code Enforcement Advisory Council. We've got a Homelessness Committee now. We've got a Budget and Finance Committee. I mean, we've got a lot of different opportunities for residents to get involved and provide direct feedback to staff on what their concerns and how we should be operating this organization. And we've retooled the public newsletter. We've literally forced public engagement into the last 2 budget cycles. We've created a new customer service liaison position that we're literally in the process of tooling right now with the appropriate software and training to ensure that resident needs are dealt with not only in a timely manner, but that we're communicating exactly how we're dealing with their concerns. We've even gone so far as to adopt formally integrity and dedication to service as our 2 core values as an organization. So those mean doing the right thing for the right reasons, regardless of whether anybody's paying attention or not, but also being very responsive to the residents and anybody who comes to contact with the city. So everything we do at the city right now is done with an eye on doing the right thing. It's being transparent and being responsive. We know who we work for, because who we work for are our friends, they're our neighbors, and they're our colleagues. And so we aren't perfect. We are improving, and we're committed to continuing to get better. But for all of those reasons, I'm very proud to be part of this staff. And I'm very proud to be a resident of the city of Belton. So, and that's all I've got.
All right, item M, items for review and discussion. Item 1, storm siren presentation.
Chief Scott Lyons, I'm not only the police chief, but the director of emergency management. And presentation tonight is our annual outdoor siren system presentation. And so our system, if you remember, has 18 sirens, 8 voice capable sirens. Our newest voice message, is only at Wallace Park at High Blue Wellness Center, near the Blue Wellness Center. And that siren in particular has a message that talks about lightning protection. And so that is set up on with the National Weather Service when a lightning strike happens within 10 miles of the center of town. And we just picked an arbitrary location in the center of town, and that was when that goes off. When that siren is activated, it says lightning warning, but I'm sorry, the lightning warning is 3 tones followed by a message, and that repeated message is 3 times, and it says dangerous lightning in the area, take shelter immediately. This is our test for this year in regards to trying to alert any of the public that is at that facility. We have a lot of soccer fields, we have a playground in that area, and we felt like in a walking trail that's utilized on a regular basis, and we wanted to see if that would allow the citizens a opportunity to leave that area, to close the game off, and then move off of that field. And so we did that in conjunction with the Parks and Recreation this year. And so hopefully next year we'll have a report back on how that's been modified. Our warning system has 2 control computers. This just simply means that one of the computers that controls the system is located in police dispatch. They can activate it manually. And also we can do it from the fire department, station number 2 within the BEMA warning center. There's 2 offices and a big community room that we utilize there for BEMA. The storm siren, this current budget year that's going to close out April 1, we had to reposition the siren that was at Cambridge and Mullen due to the construction of the upcoming new intersection. And so that's been pushed more to the east, probably about 150 yards. This is a aerial view of our storm sirens. They are strategically placed around the city, especially taking into consideration some of our topography and also where the location of our citizens are. As you look over to the extreme left of that screen is the siren at Loch Lloyd. That is not maintained. We don't spend funds to maintain that. That is maintained by Loch Lloyd, and we choose the vendor to do so, which is the same vendor that we utilize. When the National Weather Service, maintains the warning part of it, that's what activates our system. But this right here shows you a coverage of those sirens. And so we typically will do a study every once in a while, maybe every 5 years is what the vendor has suggested, to make sure that we have these same areas covered. And then this slide shows when a National Weather Service activates an area that goes apart, any part of our city, then that activates all the sirens in the city of Belton. There are some storm shelters in Belton. One is the FEMA shelter that is funded by a grant at Belton High School. We have 6 private shelters at Lazy Acres, Crown Park, Plaza Acres, and Springdale Lake, South Fork. And there's 2 outdoor shelters for employees at Progressive Rail. And our main message is be weather aware to the citizens, and that includes being aware of what weather is coming through your radio or television weather broadcasts, but also having a weather radio. And so, if there's any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Item N, motion to enter an executive session, discuss matters pertaining to legal actions according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.1, pertaining to leasing, purchase, sale of real estate according to Missouri State Statute 610.21.2, and pertaining to negotiated contracts according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.12, and that the record be closed and the meeting adjourned from there.
Present.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Goff,
Yes.
Pryan,
Yes.
White,
Yep.
Richardson,
Aye.
McCallum,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Powell,
Yes.
Kraft.
Aye.
Motion passes.